Hello, everyone. Today, I'll talk to you about the main aspects of corporate supply chain management. First, let's take a look at what we need to understand, know, and master. What kind of content? First, we need to know the basic processes of supply chain management. Next, we should understand the fundamental methods of supply chain management, including analytical methods. Finally, we must master the common issues in the basic aspects of supply chain management and their solutions. Alright, let's move on to which three stages the logistics phase includes. The first stage involves the manufacturing company placing orders with suppliers. The second stage is the preparation for supply by the supplier. The third stage is receiving supplies from the supplier. Let's take a look at how these three stages are specifically implemented in the actual operation of corporate supply logistics. Next, let's see what these processes include. Material requirements analysis, leading to our procurement planning, from selecting suppliers to signing contracts, what we call placing orders, then to follow up on deliveries, receiving goods, making payments for the goods, and finally, case closure and filing. Within this, let's take a look at the specific contents and requirements. Alright, let's see. First, the main content of demand analysis is identifying and describing needs. So, what does identifying needs entail? Here, we talk about clearly defining what various departments need, in what quantity, and at what time. Generally, this is done within a specified time frame, with each department submitting procurement request forms, which the procurement department then summarizes and submits for approval by the supervising leader. So, what does describing the needs include? In the procurement request form, it's required to describe the needed items. Common descriptions include the date of procurement, the product code, the department issuing the request, the model of the product, as well as its name, specifications, origin, quantity, etc. So, for the procurement items, the required date, we discuss special procurement requirements, and also the signature of the authorized applicant. Alright, let's look further. What specific analysis methods are there? First, let's examine the ABC analysis method. What is the ABC analysis method? It's a prioritized management method applied in managing numerous items by selectively focusing on key aspects to maximize the benefits of limited resources. Thus, items generating high profits are categorized as Class A, which are given priority management. This is Class A. Then, Class B. We look at what requirements it has, meaning the remaining parts are categorized as Class B. It involves specific considerations for management. Now, let's see what falls under Class C, which includes items with low profits, categorized as Class C. These can be managed in a general manner. One point we need to discuss here is what mainly determines the importance of Class A items. We consider the main or critical items required by the user company, or the key items. Then, items that the user company needs in the largest quantities. This is the second basis. What's the third basis? Valuable items, though not in high demand, but are of high value. This is what we call the basis for the importance of Class A items. These are the 3 points. Now, let's look at the second analysis method, which is the statistical analysis method. It's based on some raw materials to analyze and determine the patterns of customer demand. This is the statistical analysis method. There is also a third method. The deductive analysis method is based on the company's main product production plans to perform the analysis, determining the demand planning process for various raw materials and components. So, what else is there? As the fourth method, we have material consumption quota management. by analyzing the material consumption quota. And based on the product structure documents, or our workload, we determine the quantity of raw materials needed. Now, let's look at compiling the procurement plan, which is divided into 8 sections. Let's examine these 8 sections. First is preparing the certification plan. What is preparing the certification plan? It's also about receiving the batch development plan, including receiving the remaining demand, preparing certification environmental data, and compiling the certification plan documentation. That's the first section. The second section is evaluating certification needs. Now, our third section is calculating certification capacity. It mainly includes analyzing project certification data, calculating overall certification capacity, calculating the capacity to undertake certification, and determining the remaining certification capacity. Now, for our fourth section, what does it include? Mainly, it's about developing the certification plan, which encompasses balancing the demand and capacity, determining the capacity certification plan, and formulating the plan. This is our fourth section. What is the fifth section? Preparing the order plan. Mainly includes receiving market demand, receiving production demand, preparing order demand documentation, and compiling the order plan documentation. This is our fifth section. What is the sixth section? Evaluating order demand. Mainly includes analyzing market demand, analyzing production demand, and determining the order's demand. Now, what is the seventh section about? Mainly, it's calculating order capacity, which includes analyzing project supply data, calculating overall order capacity, and calculating the capacity to undertake orders, determining the remaining order capacity, etc. At this point, we've reached the last section. What is it? It's about developing the order plan. Mainly includes comparing demand and capacity, achieving a comprehensive balance, determining the surplus certification plan, formulating the plan. So, these are the main contents of the 8 sections. Now, let's take a closer look at what the procurement budget includes. First, the determination of procurement quantities. How do we determine that? First, let's understand what procurement quantity is. It refers to the total amount of a material that should be ordered in a certain period. Let's see. Generally, there are 2 methods to determine procurement quantities. The first one is the periodic ordering method. What is the periodic ordering method? It involves conducting inventory checks and placing orders at regular intervals, such as monthly, quarterly, or weekly, for goods in different periods. Ordering depends on what? The usage rate in each period. Here, we have a formula, which states that the order quantity equals the maximum inventory level minus the inventory level at the time of ordering. This is the formula for calculating the order quantity each time. Now, let's look at the fixed quantity ordering method. What does it entail? Through continuous inventory checks, constantly monitoring, once the inventory level reaches the reorder point, then immediately order a fixed quantity of goods. Place the order. Now, let's consider the procurement budget. What is a procurement budget? It's the funds needed for the procurement plan, calculated in advance, to ensure timely raising of required funds and timely payment to suppliers, ensuring the normal operation of our enterprise production. This is our procurement budget. Alright, moving on to selecting suppliers. In this aspect, what important content do we need to consider? First, let's look at the first point. We need to find suppliers. In finding suppliers, generally, we go through 2 stages. The first is the natural condition of the resource market, which includes our market size, capacity, and nature. For example, how extensive is our resource market? How many resources are there? And is it a buyer's market or a seller's market? These three scenarios are what we need to grasp. Next, let's look at the regulatory environment of the resource market, such as the market's management system, the standardization process of the market, government policy orientations, and future trends, among others. What is this? It's what is reflected within the regulatory environment of the resource market. That's what it shows. Let's move on. So, in choosing suppliers, how do we select our suppliers? In this regard, there are three basic criteria. The first one is, let's see, is it necessary to choose the best one in the process? It's not necessarily about choosing the best, but rather, here, let's consider, what's the criterion? It's not about choosing the best, but what? Choosing the most suitable. What's the second criterion? Let's look. In our selection, we first choose those who operate honestly, have a reliable reputation, and good word of mouth, right? And the third criterion is stable production and reliable quality. These are the criteria for judging and selecting suppliers. The three basic criteria. Let's continue. In the process of cooperating with suppliers, right, we must manage several aspects well. Here, we talk about managing three key aspects. What's the first aspect? Signing the cooperation agreement. So, what does the cooperation agreement entail? It's the basic foundation for cooperation between the two parties. In the agreement, the rights, responsibilities, and benefits should be stipulated, which means our rights and our responsibilities. Both parties should fulfill their obligations according to the agreement. This is the first aspect. The second aspect is improving the cooperation mechanism. During the operation, both parties should continuously identify and solve problems, constantly improving the mechanism of cooperation to ensure that our collaboration can achieve better and higher efficiency and effectiveness. This is the second aspect. The third aspect we'll look at is maintaining cooperative relationships. Let's see what this entails. First, during the cooperation process, both parties should act with sincerity and tolerance, considering issues from multiple perspectives to foster long-term stable cooperation. This is an opportunity. These are the three aspects. Now let's look at the seventh point. Fulfilling the contract. We have 5 important stages. Signing the contract, following up on deliveries, accepting the goods, making payments, and finally, case closure and filing. Now, let's examine the key points of following up on deliveries. It includes pre-planning, execution management, and post-performance assessment. What is the acceptance operation? It refers to inspecting and accepting the materials based on the order. What about making payments? Here, we discuss. Making payments involves handing over the accepted documents to our responsible person, who then signs them and passes them to our financial personnel. And then the financial personnel make the payment through some form of transfer. Finally, let's look at case closure and filing. It refers to, after all procedures are completed, putting all relevant documents into the archive. This concludes the 5 stages of fulfilling the contract, an important part of the process. Today, let's review. What are the main contents we've learned? Let's see. Today's learning primarily includes the process of corporate supply logistics, material requirements analysis, methods of material requirements analysis, compiling the procurement plan, the procurement budget, selecting our suppliers, and the last part is fulfilling the contract. This is all the content we've covered today. That's the end of today's lesson. Thank you everyone for watching.